Princess Diana's eldest sister, Lady Sarah McCorquodale, shares openly about her torment.
Prince Harry and Meghan step down from royal duties, will not be returning as working members of the royal family.
All right, in a surprising royal revelation, Princess Diana's sister has finally broken her silence on Meghan Markle, and her words have reignited a debate that has surrounded the royal family for years. Her unexpected comments about Meghan, Prince Harry, and the choices that followed Diana's death have left many royal watchers questioning whether Prince William's concerns were justified all along. As new details continue to emerge, one question remains. Why did Diana's sister finally decide to speak, and could her words change how people view this royal controversy? So, what do you think? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. To help us create more videos and uncover the latest royal story, please subscribe. The voice everyone was waiting for. So, this is where the story begins. For years, one person connected to Princess Diana remained almost completely outside the intense public debates surrounding the royal family. While documentaries explored Diana's life, interviews generated fresh controversies, and endless discussions focused on Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, and the meaning of Diana's legacy. Lady Sarah McCorquodale stayed quiet. Unlike many people connected to one of the most famous women in modern history, Sarah never appeared eager to step into the spotlight. She did not regularly give interviews, respond to royal controversies, or offer public opinions about family disagreements. Her silence became part of her identity. But that silence was also what made her connection to the story so fascinating. Sarah was not someone who discovered Diana through newspapers, documentaries, or public appearances. She knew Diana before the world knew her, before the cameras followed her every move, before the headlines turned her into a global symbol, before millions of people created their own image of who Diana was. She knew her as a sister. And that is exactly why reports suggesting that Sarah's perspective had entered the conversation created such strong reactions among royal watchers. This was not simply another commentator sharing an opinion about Meghan Markle or the monarchy. This was someone whose memories of Diana came from personal experiences rather than public discussions. Naturally, one major question emerged. Why would someone who spent decades avoiding royal controversies suddenly become connected to a debate involving Meghan Markle and Diana's legacy? For many observers, the answer appeared linked to one issue that has continued to divide public opinion for years: the comparison between Meghan and Diana. Supporters of Meghan have often argued that she experienced some of the same challenges Diana faced inside the royal family. They point to intense media attention, public criticism, and the difficulty of adjusting to life within a highly traditional institution. However, critics believe the comparisons have become too simplified, placing two different women from different generations into the same story. And standing at the center of that debate is Sarah, someone who remembers Diana long before she became a symbol of hope, controversy, and public fascination. Diana's sister made her voice heard for the first time after several years of discussions about Meghan and Diana, which aligns with what William was concerned about. But what was William's position with respect to the discussion? Was he sentimental with respect to the debate, or did he have a valid reason for his inclination? Let's uncover the intriguing details. William's concerns about Meghan. This is where the entire story took an unexpected turn. Long before Sarah McCorquodale's reported views gained attention, Prince William was already confronting challenging questions about the monarchy's future, stability, and the changes reshaping the royal family. According to reports and royal commentary, William's concerns were not simply based on personal disagreements with Harry and Meghan. Instead, they appeared connected to something much bigger: the future of the monarchy, the reputation of the institution, and the responsibility that comes with protecting a role that has existed for generations. Reports suggested William was concerned about the rapid changes in Harry and Meghan's relationship with the royal family after they departed from royal duties, as personal disagreements began creating wider challenges for the monarchy's image and stability. Others suggested that William was concerned about the way Princess Diana's legacy was becoming connected to modern royal disagreements. For William, Diana was never just a historical figure or a name remembered by the public. She was his mother. She was someone whose life shaped his childhood, his understanding of the world, and the way he viewed his own responsibilities. But at the same time, Diana was also part of the story of the monarchy that William would one day inherit. That created a unique position for him. While Harry often spoke about Diana through personal memories, emotional experiences, and the pain of losing his mother at a young age, William had another responsibility to consider. He had to think about the future. He had to consider how decisions made today could affect an institution he may eventually lead. And that difference may explain why the two brothers appeared to approach similar situations from completely different perspectives. They experienced the same loss. They loved the same person. They carried the same memories. But as they grew older, they developed very different roles and responsibilities. Harry became someone determined to share his personal experiences and protect what he believed was his mother's truth. William became someone preparing to protect both Diana's memory and the future of the crown. However, the concerns surrounding Harry and Meghan revealed something even deeper about William. They offered a glimpse into the type of leader he was becoming, a future king who appeared willing to make difficult decisions, even when those choices created personal challenges. So, William believes that if Meghan is being compared to Diana, it may undermine the legacy she left behind. But how much did the people making these comparisons truly know Diana? Who are those who genuinely understand what Diana went through? And could the public simply be focusing on the similarities alone? Let's find out. The Diana only her family knew now. This is where things become even more fascinating. Before Princess Diana became a worldwide symbol of compassion, beauty, and royal controversy, she was simply Diana Spencer. She was a daughter, a sister, a family member who lived a much quieter life before the attention of the world completely changed her future. Long before Diana became a global icon, her family and closest friends knew the real person behind the headlines, understanding her emotions, personality, challenges, and the life hidden away from public attention. Lady Sarah McCorquodale was one of those people. As Diana's sister, Sarah knew the woman beyond the fame, photographs, and headlines.
Lady Sarah agonizing over one fateful question.
In putting on her seatbelt. Why didn't she put it on that night? I'll never know.
She witnessed Diana's life before royal attention, transformed her into a global icon, giving her a rare understanding of the person behind the image the world came to know. And that difference is extremely important. Diana's global fame created a powerful public image, but many people knew only the stories, appearances, and narratives shared with the world. But family members carry something different. They carry personal memories. They remember conversations that were never recorded. They remember moments that never appeared in newspapers. They remember the human being behind the title and the attention. This may explain why conversations surrounding Diana's legacy can become deeply sensitive for those who knew her personally. When people compare Meghan Markle's journey inside the royal family to Diana's experiences, many outsiders focus on the similarities. Both women married into the monarchy. Both faced enormous public attention. Both experienced intense media interest and public discussions about their roles within the institution. To many supporters, those similarities appear impossible to ignore. However, family members may view those comparisons through a completely different perspective because they remember Diana as a real person, not only as a historical figure. For someone like Sarah, the issue may not simply be whether Meghan and Diana faced similar challenges. The deeper question may be whether Diana's story is being understood and represented in the right way. Because while two people can share similar experiences, their journeys can still be completely different. And that distinction became even more significant as Harry and Meghan continued referencing Diana's life, struggles, and legacy during their own public journey. For those closest to Diana, Protecting her memory may mean something very different from what the outside world expects. So, because Diana's family understood her beyond the headlines and interviews, they found it difficult to accept the public opinion of comparing Diana with Meghan. But what is Harry's position on this matter? Did he agree with his mother's family and his brother's views? Or did he remain supportive of the opinion that favors his wife? Let's find out. Harry's expectations from Diana's family. Now, this is where the story becomes interesting. For years, many royal observers assumed that Princess Diana's relatives would naturally support Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. After all, their connection to Harry seemed unlike any other. They shared Diana's bloodline. They understood the pain of losing her. And they carried personal memories of a woman Harry has often described as one of the greatest influences in his life. Because of that bond, many people believe Diana's family would automatically understand Harry's choices and view his experiences through the same emotional lens. However, family relationships are rarely that simple. Sharing a loved one does not always mean sharing the same opinions. Having the same memories does not always lead to the same conclusions. And knowing someone personally does not always mean agreeing with every decision made while using their name and legacy. Harry reportedly expected Diana's family to understand Meghan's challenges by comparing them with the struggles Diana faced inside the monarchy. From his perspective, both women faced enormous public attention, intense media pressure, and the challenges of finding their place inside a powerful institution. But some accounts suggested that not everyone connected to Diana viewed the comparison in the same way. For Diana's family, Meghan and Diana may represent separate journeys shaped by different times, experiences, and personal decisions. And that difference created a much deeper question. What does it truly mean to protect Princess Diana's legacy? Is protecting her memory about supporting anyone whose experiences appear similar to hers? Or is it about preserving the truth of Diana's own journey and remembering her as the unique person she was? That question became even more complicated because criticism from strangers is one thing. Outside opinions can often be ignored or dismissed. But when concerns appear to come from people who personally knew Diana, they carry a completely different emotional impact. Their views are shaped by years of private memories, family experiences, and knowledge that the public never had access to. And this is where Prince William's position began receiving even more attention, because his concerns were not only about family disagreements. They appeared connected to a much larger responsibility: protecting the future of the monarchy while preserving the memory of the mother he shared with Harry. Beyond Harry's expectation that his mother's family ought to have inclined toward his view of seeing both his mother's and his wife's stories as similar, what is the relationship between Diana's family and her children? And why is the similarity between William's view and that of his mother's relatives significant? Let's unravel the details. Diana's sister standing with William. Interestingly, one of the most fascinating parts of the story is that Lady Sarah McCorquodale's connection with Prince William did not suddenly appear because of the recent discussions surrounding Harry, Meghan, and Diana's legacy. Her relationship with both of Diana's sons existed long before the current debates attracted worldwide attention. For years, Sarah remained connected to William and Harry in her own way, maintaining the family bond created through their shared love and memories of Princess Diana. However, when Sarah was seen publicly supporting William during an important military ceremony, many royal watchers took notice. The moment attracted attention because it challenged a belief that had become common among some members of the public. Many people assumed Diana's family would naturally be closer to Harry because of the way he often speaks about his mother's memory and the personal pain he experienced after her death. To some observers, Harry appeared to represent the strongest connection to Diana's emotional legacy, but Sarah's relationship with William revealed a much more complicated reality. Diana's family was not simply divided into two sides, with some supporting Harry and others supporting William. Instead, they appeared to have their own personal relationships, individual opinions, and different ways of understanding Diana's life and legacy. And that distinction completely changed the conversation. Because if someone as close to Diana as Sarah could maintain a strong connection with William, it suggested that the situation was never simply about choosing one brother over the other. It was about how different people interpreted Diana's memory and what they believed protecting that legacy truly meant. William's supporters argue that this showed his concerns were not simply personal disagreements or family tensions. They believe people who knew Diana closely could also recognize the complicated responsibility of preserving her memory while protecting the future of the monarchy. For them, Sarah's connection with William represented something important. It suggested that concerns surrounding Harry and Meghan were not only coming from within the royal family itself, but were also being considered by people who had a deep personal connection to Diana. And that is why Sarah's reported perspective became so significant. It appeared to show that William's concerns may not have existed alone, and that the conversation surrounding Diana's legacy was far more complex than many people originally believed. Diana's sister shared a similar sentiment with William regarding Diana's legacy. But does this mean Harry was less concerned about protecting his mother's memory? Or were all parties involved simply trying to preserve Diana's legacy from different perspectives? Let's uncover the complicated details. The real battle now, this is where the story becomes much more personal. As the debate surrounding Meghan Markle, Prince Harry, and the royal family continued, the conversation slowly moved beyond Meghan herself. The deeper issue became something much bigger. It became a question that was far more difficult to answer. Who truly has the right to define Princess Diana's story? For Harry, Diana's legacy has always been deeply personal. He has often spoken about his mother as a woman whose experiences inside the royal family shaped the way he views fame, responsibility, and the challenges of royal life. To him, protecting Diana's memory means ensuring that the struggles she faced are not ignored or forgotten. But William carries Diana's memory from a very different position. Like Harry, he experienced the loss of his mother and understands the personal side of her story. However, as the future king, William also has another responsibility. He must consider how Diana's legacy connects to the future of the monarchy he will one day lead. Then there is Diana's family, including people like Lady Sarah McCorquodale, who carry a completely different perspective. They knew Diana before the world knew her, before the royal titles, before the palace attention, before newspapers and documentaries created countless versions of her life. They remember the private person behind the public image, the sister, daughter, and family member who existed beyond the headlines. And this is what makes the situation so complicated. Everyone involved appears to believe they are protecting something valuable. Harry believes he is protecting his mother's truth and ensuring her experiences continue to be understood. William believes he is protecting Diana's memory, while also protecting the stability and future of the monarchy. Meanwhile, Diana's relatives may feel they are protecting the woman they personally knew, rather than only the public figure the world remembers. The challenge is that these different forms of loyalty do not always lead people to the same conclusions. One person's idea of protecting a legacy may look completely different from another person's, and that is why the disagreement became so emotional, because this was never only about Meghan Markle, royal disagreements, or family tensions. At its heart, it became a much deeper conversation about memory, identity, and who has the authority to shape the story of one of the most influential women of modern times. The family and children of Diana, William, and Harry are all concerned about defending and preserving the legacy of the people's princess, but they approach it from different perspectives. Why did royal watchers believe William was more right? And what greater benefit could his position bring? Let's find out. Why William was right. all along. Here's what happened. Looking back at everything surrounding Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, Princess Diana's legacy, and the reactions from people closest to the royal family, some observers believe Prince William's earlier concerns now appear in a different light. According to those who support his position, William was never simply trying to criticize Meghan personally or create conflict within the family. Instead, they believe his focus was much broader. They argue that William was thinking about the future of an institution that depends heavily on trust, stability, and public confidence. For someone preparing to become king one day, every decision carries a different level of responsibility. Supporters point to William's previous comments about wanting to modernize the monarchy while still respecting its traditions. They believe his approach has always been centered around adapting the institution for the future rather than protecting old habits simply because they are familiar. In their view, William's leadership style is more strategic than emotional. They argue that he understands the difficult reality of leading a centuries-old institution. Sometimes, protecting something important requires making choices that may not be popular with everyone. Those decisions can create disagreement, they can create personal tension, and they can even affect family relationships. But supporters believe William sees those challenges as part of the responsibility that comes with his future role. According to some royal commentators, this is what separates William's approach from a purely personal response. They suggest he is not only looking at individual situations, but also considering how those situations affect the wider image and future of the monarchy. However, critics argue that royal issues are not always that simple. They believe family relationships involve emotions, personal experiences, and private struggles that cannot always be explained through strategy or duty alone. And that is what makes the situation so complicated. There are different perspectives, different experiences, and different interpretations of the same events. But regardless of where people stand, one thing has become clear. The events involving Harry and Meghan changed the way many people viewed William's leadership style. And for some observers, the concerns he reportedly raised years earlier now appear less like personal disagreements and more like warnings about the challenges facing the future of the crown. William's view on protecting Diana's legacy is more widely accepted and aligns with Diana's sisters. But why is Diana's story still dividing opinions long after her passing? What gives her sister's opinion more weight than others? And will William be able to defend Diana's legacy in the future? Let's find out. Protecting Diana's legacy. So, when all the different pieces of this story are brought together, a much bigger picture begins to appear. This was never only about Meghan Markle. It was never only about Prince Harry. And it was never only about Prince William. At the center of everything is Princess Diana's lasting influence and the powerful way her memory continues to shape conversations decades after her death. Diana remains one of the most discussed figures of the modern royal family because people continue to connect deeply with her story. To some, she represents compassion, vulnerability, and a willingness to challenge tradition. To others, she represents a reminder of the pressures and responsibilities that come with royal life. And for those who personally knew her, her legacy carries an even deeper meaning. This is why Lady Sarah McCorquodale's reported perspective attracted so much attention. Her importance does not come from seeking public attention or becoming another voice in the endless royal debate. It comes from something much rarer. She knew Diana before the world created an image of her. She knew Diana before the photographs, the interviews, and the headlines transformed her into a global symbol. Her memories come from family experiences, not public discussions. Whether her reported views will change how people see the situation remains uncertain. However, her involvement has reminded many people of one important reality. Diana's story is still emotionally powerful, and the way her legacy is remembered continues to influence the present. For William, the challenge ahead remains enormous. One day, he will inherit the crown and carry the responsibility of leading an institution that has survived for generations. But before that moment arrives, he must continue showing that his decisions are not simply about protecting old traditions. They are about preparing the monarchy for the future. That may be why this story has created so much interest, because the real question goes beyond whether William was right or wrong. The deeper question is what kind of leader he will become when the responsibility of the crown finally belongs to him. Will he be a king who follows the path of previous generations? Or will he create a new approach shaped by his own experiences, lessons from the past, and the legacy of the mother he never stopped remembering? Only time will reveal the answer. So, what do you think about William's position on Diana's legacy? Was he protecting his mother's memory in the right way? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.